Vande Jagat Guru Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. I welcome everyone and all the devotees in the temple as well as who are online. Today is 29th of July and we are going to study Gita further on the second chapter, Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga Nama Dvitiyo Adhyaya. This is the second chapter. The first chapter was Arjun Vishad Yoga. Arjun is in grief and God, Bhagwan Shri Krishna, Yogeshwar Krishna, is answering him in to remove his grief, to let him come out of the grief. As we know, depending on what kind of, when we go to the doctor asks us so many questions. And then depending on what we answer, we give the feedback, the doctor gives us the medicine. So in the same way, when the Arjun is grief-stricken, is stricken by grief for 2 points. One is that he thinks that when he's going to go for the war, he is going to kill his Ketan Ji. He is going to kill his relatives, his gurus, his cousins, nephews, paternal and maternal uncles, and he is stricken by the grief because of that. And second point of grief was, as we discussed a while ago, was that when so many men are going to die in the war, so the bad effects of the war, so he is analyzing the bad effect of the war. So many men are going to die, so many women will be, there will be a disproportionate population between the man and woman, and what are the repercussions of it. So he is stricken by grief and he is telling, he is telling that I can't fight. Gandiv sansrate hastaha. He is the Gandiv, the bow and arrow. The bow, the name of the bow of Arjun is Gandiv. He is telling that I can't even hold the bow in my hand, basically the weapon in my hand, by thinking of these things. So it shows us a couple of things, like a weak person, even though they have got the best resources, even though they have got the best technology, even though they are supported by all the external factors. But a person with a weaker mind, a person with a depressed or shaken psychology, they cannot work. And this is exactly applicable in today's life. And that is why we are studying Gita here. We are studying Gita because we want to live happily. If somebody asks why you are studying Gita, because we want to live happily. That is the reason why we have to study Gita in today's life. One of the answer to that. Anyway, so God is telling, and depending on, because he is stricken by these two main grief points, God is telling him the Sankhya Yoga. In Sankhya Yoga, there is nothing like bhakti. It's totally the intellect. It is totally using the brain. Because Arjun's questions are through his brain. He is using his intellect, but he is using intellect to use his in the emotions, and that is where the problem lies. And that is why God has first focused on the intellect side. And what is the intellect side from Vedas? Sankhya Yoga. So Sankhya Yoga is the second chapter, and that is what we are studying here. Just to recap. So last week we talked about the 51st shloka of Sankhya Yoga. In 51st shloka of Sankhya Yoga, I will do the chanting first and then we will go forward. We left it halfway and we are going to go forward with it. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi phalam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandhar vinirmukta padam gacchantya namayam. This is a shloka. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi phalam tyaktva manishini. So last time we were looking at the phalam tyaktva. What is the meaning of the phalam tyakta? Phalam means the fruits, the results of our karma. And God is telling here that karmajam buddhi yukta hi phalam tyaktva manishini. two points God has told here. Buddhi Yukta, we last time saw about Buddhi Yukta and Phalam Tyakta. And we looked at this word Phalam Tyakta with multiple points. And before that, the word was Sangha Tyaktva, knowingly removing the subject from the head, knowingly disconnecting from the subject, from the object. And this Sangha Tyaktva is resulting into Phalam Tyaktva. When we, with our intellect, we disconnect with the objects, we automatically disconnect with the Phalam, the results of our actions. And that is what is Phalam Tyaktva. We looked at it last time. We also learned how can we do the Phalam Tyaktva. First we learned what is Phalam Tyaktva, and then how we can Tyakta, how we can get the Phalam, the results from our mind, how we can take them out. And then we understood that how we can do it. And we also understood that it does not mean that we leave the things. And we talked about it in detail, and we are going to talk about it again and again, because that is one of the very important point which is being missed while studying the Vedas, the Sanatana Dharma scriptures. So Phalam Tyakta doesn't mean that we leave the world. Phalam Tyakta doesn't mean that we do not live our regular life. It is a very great misunderstanding that if we are in the world, if we are going ahead with our worldly responsibilities and we are going ahead with our worldly life, then we cannot get the moksham, we cannot get the moksha, liberation, we cannot get it. So we talked about it in detail last time also. And God has told that when you get the fruit, you have to consume it. We have to bear the responsibility and duty also for the actions which we are doing. That is a phalam, the fruit of our actions, we have to bear it. And God has also explained us in the earlier shloka that you cannot be without doing a karma. We cannot just say that I am not going to do anything. The reason, because we are a dehi, we are a embodied creatures, we are embodied animals. And because we are embodied, there are relationships with us and the body. And we have to work to make sure that our body works. We have to earn, we have to eat food, we have to wear clothes, we have to have a shelter. We need family, we need warmth, we need emotions, relationship. All these things are coming with the body. When there is no body, there is nothing. But with the body, all these things are coming. And that is why we have to do the karma. And when we have to do the karma will get us a result, and we have to bear that result. And then the cycle continues. And God is explaining here how we can come out of that cycle. Janma bandha vinirmukta. That is where we were there. And who can do that? Phalam tyakta manishini. Manishi. That was an excellent word. Manishi means a wise man. Manishi means a wise man. But who is a wise man? One who makes a good amount of money, one who is making a good business, one who has got a higher education and degrees. Is he a wise man? Does God explain that as a wise man? No. The God is telling the one person who is wise man, who is a buddhi yukta, one who has got, one who is endowed with equanimity of intellect, one whose buddhi, whose intellect is balanced. He is balanced in every condition, and that is where the person is considered as a manishini, a wise man. So a wise man may be poor, a wise man may be uneducated, but still he is a wise man. In the eyes of the God, the position is not the quality or the barometer to evaluate the wiseness of a person. The wiseness of a person is evaluated by what level of intellect and what level of equanimity is there in the person's intellect. This is very important, because we all run after those things and we never try to make sure that our intellect is in the equanimity. So that is where we were. And how can we disconnect? How to get the phalam tyaktva? That is what we discussed last time. And that is the first step was, it is not mine. We always put a stamp. We always put a stamp of our kartutva, our efforts, our hard work. into the fruits which we get. And that is where it starts with the wrong direction. So last time we took the example of a shopkeeper or a businessman who has made a good business. And then when he's thinking the whole business today, whatever money is earned, is because I did it. I did all this good job. And when the person is putting the I as a stamp on the kartutva, on the work which is being done, that is where it starts, and we looked at it in detail. So, and also we last time took the example of two pots. One is a leaky pot and one is a good pot. And what are the, and the story of two pots. So we studied there that the Sanatana Dharma does not focus on result. We are not result oriented. See, most of the present days psychology and what is being taught, even in the highest level of educational institutes, is focused on the result. Is focused on how much productivity we get, how much more money, how much more returns on investment, ROI. And that investment can be anything. That investment is not only the money and stock market, but or business. That investment even in the people, in the relationship. How much worth and how much better I will be able to get the advantage by connecting with someone. That is also being evaluated. So today's psychology, when we are being taught to have most productive and result oriented, is the one of the root, one of the seed to go towards unhappiness, individually as well as to the society. Individually as well as society. The true method is not to be result oriented. Yeah, definitely. We will have to look at the result. If I want to go and buy and eat some ice cream, I have to decide that I need a vanilla or a strawberry flavor. Unless I decide the end result, I cannot select any ice cream or I cannot select any shop for that matter. So we must have it in I. It is going to give us a direction, but we will not be result oriented. Our focus is not on the result. That is what the Sanatana Dharma says, and that is what we last time understood from the example of two pots. And a wise person, that is why, is focusing on the karma. The wise person focuses on the karma and not on the result. And because of that, he or she is not shaken up, is not misdirected. He or she is not depressed when the results are coming in different way. Anytime, any result of our karma is always having one or the other point inside it which is not convenient, which is not desirable, which is not advantageous or not satisfactory. There will be always one or the other alteration. The expected results and the actual results will always vary. It may be even better. It's not only on the wrong direction. It may be even better than what it is, but still it is different than what we anticipated. And when those results are coming, that result is impacting the person. If the results are more favorable, if I am expecting business with say $40,000 profit in a year, and if I get $60,000, I will be having a greediness in my mind. Okay, let me have more. See, you ask any salesperson, they are given a target that, okay, this year you are going to sell $2 million worth of goods. We are told that. Now, if that person is selling of $2.5 million, what happens? The next target is in proportionate of that. So the next target is $3 million, $4 million, $8 million. And what happens to that salesperson? He or she is in a great tension now because they have to meet the target. So even if the target is achieved with a higher amount or higher advantageous side, still it is going to create the same problem as the target not achieved to the expected level. So how do we get out of it? Janma bandha vinirmukta, freedom from the bondage of life and death. How can we get? We cannot, the points are, to keep in mind are, we cannot stop doing actions. Once the action is done, it will bring us a fruit. That fruit has to be borne by the person or the group of persons who are doing those actions. And then, depending on the fruit, whether it is advantages or disadvantages, it impacts our mind. And then when it impacts our mind, we are disturbed. We are not comfortable in our life. So how to get out of that whole cycle? It's a repeated cycle. How to get out of that cycle? That is the question. And that is what the God is telling. Buddhi yukta and phalam tyaktva. When we do the buddhi yukta and phalam tyaktva, then we will be having the situation where it is a janma bandha vinirmuktaha. Janma bandha vinirmuktaha. How is the life as well as the death is bondage. So life is a bondage. Once we get into a cycle, we are bonded by that. We are bound by the actions and its fruits, which goes beyond the death, beyond the life and death. Because we believe in a punarjanma, we believe in the rebirth. What happens is that even if suppose somebody is doing the, we always do the action until the end. We always do the actions till the end of the life. Now if we are told that you have to bear the fruits of the actions which we are doing, and we are already dead, how that will be equalized? How that the law of justice, which justice? The justice of the nature, the justice of the eternal justice, how that can be satisfied? It can be only satisfied through the punarjanma. Otherwise, it cannot be justified. So, that is why even the death cannot get us rid of or shrug off or escape from the fruits of our actions. And that is why it is janma bandha vinirmukta. So how can we do that? Let us take an example. I always give the example of a bank cashier. Suppose there is a cashier in the bank. And of course, this is the old days. Today also it is there, but it is very less because of all this ATM and everything has come. The direct e-transfer and all technology has changed. I am giving example of a little older time. Now also it is there, but it is much less than what we used to see it before. So in a bank, there is a cashier. This cashier is supposed to take money and take cash and give the cash depending on the transaction. Somebody is depositing the money and somebody is taking the money. So this cashier, when he starts, he has got say $10,000 in the cash box. So he is signing, I have got $10,000 in the cash box I have received. And then as the customer comes, they give money and then he deposits it in the cash box, and sometimes the customer comes to draw the money and he is giving away the money. Through the whole day, he is taking the money and is giving the money. Lots of money. Thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars he is giving and he is taking. Now, at the end of the day, he closes the business. He is checking how much is in the cash box. He reports back that, okay, now this much amount of money is in the cash box. And these are the transactions. And when he is going home, he doesn't have a grief or joy that the amount of money in the cash box was more than when it was started in the day or less than when it was started in the day. He is not connected. He doesn't feel bad if the money in the cash box was reduced, or he is not happy that money in the cash box was increased. Why? Because he knows that this money is not mine, the very first part. And the second part is he knows that to give the money and to take the money is my duty. So he focuses on his karma. He focuses that not much money is given away than what is supposed to be in the transaction. I do not give one more extra, a bill of $1 or something, or I do not make any mistake. His focus is not on how much money is coming in and out, but his focus is how well and correctly I am doing my counting. That is where the cashier is coming. And the cashier who focuses on that will be able to function, will be able to do his job in the best way. No errors. And he is still untouched, even after counting lots of money through the day. We have got exactly same thing in our life. When we are born, we are bringing something in our cash box. The results of our karmas in the previous births, we bring it. That is our cash box. That cash box may be having lots of fun and happiness and may be having some sorrows. Both are there. And then we keep doing karma because of our deha, as we explained earlier. We keep adding to the box. Sometimes we draw the money. Sometimes we consume the punya karma in our previous life. That is why we see some people who are not worthy. We see the people who are not worthy to have that much of resources, fun, capacity, the ability. They do not seem worthy for it, but still they are very happy. They are given best resources in the life. How? How does it happen? Because they have got the previous cash box, previous cash in the cash box of their previous karma. But now they are consuming it. So this is how the whole thing works. And at the end of the life, end of the shift, as you give the accountant, you give how much is the cash in the cash box. When we also die, we have to make the account balancing, and we say that this much is the cash balance in the box. Now next day, again the cashier comes and we are also reborn and the cycle repeats. So how to work? Work like a cashier. How to live a life? Live life like a cashier. Because two things. One, I am not the owner, and second, this is my duty. These are the two things in a very simple language to understand and try to practice it in life. Does the cashier run away from the job? No. Does the cashier stops counting the money? No. Cashier continues the job. So similarly, when we are given a duty as anything, we are given a duty as a father, as a mother, as a leader, whatever duty we are given, that duty you do in a perfect way. Whatever we are born with, we do the duty. And this is one of the fundamental reason, and this is what is also indicating and going to that point of untouchability, and going to the point of untouchability and downtrodden people. Because a person is born into a certain category, certain work, certain business class, he or she is allowed to do that work, and he or she is not considered as a sinful person. So there is no untouchability. We had Valmiki. Valmiki was a paradhi. He was a hunter, one who hunts animals and birds. But he became Valmiki. His initial name was Valya Lutara. He was looting people. But he wrote Ramayana as a Valmiki, and we are reading it. Bhagwan Ram went to Shabri, who was a bheel, who was a forest, she was living in forest. Adivasi, what we call as in Hindi. And Bhagwan Ram went over there, and Bhagwan Ram eat the berries from Shabri. So this is the proof again coming from the Vedas that if we are doing our duty, that is the best. Whatever work has been given to you, whatever work has been assigned to me through one or the other way, either through my birth or through my skills acquired, in either case, I do my duty correctly without any attachment to the fruits of the actions, and that is the way to live the life. Karmajam buddhi yuktahi. This is how. And once we live like that, we are out of the bondage of the janma and death, the birth and the death. We are out of the bondage. Now here one more word has come, padam gacchantya namayam. Padam gacchantya namayam, anamayam. The word here is anamayam. Anamayam is devoid of suffering. Anamayam means devoid of suffering. Kashton se rahit. Without any kashta, any suffering. Without any suffering. So here God is telling that when you are buddhi yukta and when you are phalam tyakta, like a wise man, manishinim, then you are janma bandha vinirmukta, you are out of the bondage of the birth and death, and padam gacha, and you can achieve anamayam. You can achieve the situation which is devoid of suffering. But God, we have a question. that suffering means what? Suffering means always pain, and what is the suffering? And is it because of the internal objects, internal things, or external objects? How the suffering? What is the definition of suffering? So generally we connect the suffering with the bodily pain, or some kind of a financial loss, or some kind of a emotional trauma. That is what we consider as a suffering in general, in our common sense. And in this includes so many things: physical pain, disability, poverty, lack of resources and opportunities, unsafe situation. Even unsafe situation is considered as a miserable situation. It is painful, kashta, suffering, and unstable government. Even external factors like unstable government, terrorism, all these things are basically causing the suffering. As in our mind we have got these things are listed: disease, all these things are listed as a suffering. But can we say that all those things which gives us a comfort, a ease of life, is also a suffering? Because in God's definition, or in the true definition, both are suffering. Both the things are suffering. Because the suffering is connected to the intellect, to the brain, to the mind inside us, and not outside. Let us take the example. How a suffering can be from a good thing, or a better desired thing. How a suffering can be even coming from a desired thing. We know nowadays people are so much touchy and having a craze of mobile phones. So suppose, I do not know the latest version, so pardon me for that, but suppose somebody is telling, I have got iPhone 7, the latest one, and that person buys an iPhone which is the latest version. Now what happens is that a new version comes up. So the new version, naturally it is a business, they have got some changes, some more features, or some additional things, a bigger screen, or whatever is the technology is gone. So once now the version 8 has come, the person who has got version 7 is thinking, oh my God, now I am not having latest version. And we have seen this, especially the kids today, the present generation. I am not blaming them, please. Do not misunderstand me. I am not a person who is blaming or always cursing the new generation. No, don't take it that way. Because I am always very hopeful, and rather I really enjoy talking to the younger generation. So, but what we are seeing, that is what I am telling, the impatience. So the person is thinking, oh my God, I have got only version 7, I don't have version 8, and the person becomes unhappy or dissatisfied. Even after having the same object, just 6 months before, the person was very happy. The person was in great joy. But after 6 months, through the comparison now, even by having the same object, they are unhappy. So, any situation where even though it is a comfortable, let us take an example of a sports shoe. Somebody is buying an excellent sports shoe from Nike or some other brand. Okay, they are having the excellent quality shoes. And the person is used to now to wear that shoe for a period of say 2 years. Only 30 grams weight of the shoes. Now when that person goes back again in the market to buy another shoe, he does not find that shoe. Now the design has changed, the weight has changed, the size has changed, color has changed, everything. But the person is so used to use that type of shoe. And so what happens? The person is unhappy. Oh, now it is not meeting my criteria. And this keeps on repeating, the cycle keeps on repeating. So even though we have got the best car in the world as of today, we have got the best telephone, we have a cell phone, we have got the best house and the bungalow, we have got the best, anything best, whatever we imagine. It is not only the best object, it is the best people also. This is one of the, one of the challenge or one of the important part of the married people, the couples. How to keep romance in the life after 30 years of marriage. They don't find it because they have got lots of other grudges which are filling up their life compared to the fun and the romance and the love which they felt in the first year of the marriage. So it is not only the object, it is people. It is everything which is connected to us. Even though it is favorable, still it becomes unfavorable eventually, and then we are having the suffering. Okay, if somebody says that, but if a person is never having a problem, say I always get the latest phone and I always get the best, and still will it be suffering? Definitely it will be suffering. Why? Because consider the extreme case that a person has never found a single unfavorable situation in the life, which is not even practical and reality, but we will take that extreme condition also. While we are having the best thing in the world, one day we have to die. That is for sure. So when we are going to die, we have to leave those best thing in the world. Best. Whatever is the best we got, we have to leave that. So naturally, leaving those things will also be suffering. The better, the more the better, more and the better the situation we are, more difficult it becomes to leave. You ask a person, there is a very nice story written by Leo Tolstoy. Leo Tolstoy even Leo Tolstoy himself, his life story is also a great story. He was from Russia, and he was a very tyrant landlord. He was a very, very strict and almost cruel landlord. And from there, he started learning about the life and everything. And he is called a saint, Saint Leo Tolstoy, the change of life. Something which happened to Valmiki, Valya to Valmiki, almost similar thing in the Russian. Of course, he didn't write a great epic like Ramayana because there is no God part in it. But he also changed the transformation in life. So Leo Tolstoy has written a nice story, and the name of the story is Elias. And actually, why he named it as Elias? Because Elias means any other name. It can be you, it can be me, it can be anybody. Elias means anyone. You can name it anyone. And he names the character as Elias. And this Elias and his wife were very rich, extremely rich. They were having horses at that time. So the story is written in the olden time, like 1920s and 1950s, that time. So he has got so many horses. He has got a big herd of sheep and goats. He has got a large land for cultivation and for the feeding of the animals. He has got big houses. And what happens that eventually he grows older and he loses everything because somebody looted his horses, the Kyrgyz people who came and who looted his horses. The disease came and all his goat and sheep died, and there was a famine, and so nothing grew, and he lost his fertile land and all that. So basically he becomes poor. He becomes very poor. And when he becomes poor, he has a neighbor. He had a neighbor who was a very kind neighbor. So he told Elias and his wife that you come and you work in my farm, and I will give you the money and you can stay with me. And after some time, when Elias is asked, are you happy? You must be very, very sad in your life because you lost so many resources, so many ownership, and now you are very poor and you are to serve someone who was much even less richer than you. And the answer from Elias and his wife is that we are happier now. And the answer is happier is something to be understood. He is telling that when there was so much of money and so many things, we had to take care of all those things. We had to take care of all our herd. We have to take care of all our relationship with the people. We have to take care of the politicians who are coming and connecting with us. We have to take care of our, the social responsibilities and, serving people and everything. And we were all in tension for that. Now we have got no tension. Now we just do whatever is told to us. We are doing our job in a right way to most satisfactory to our master or the neighbor for whom he is working. And he can comfortably relax and sit with his wife in the morning sun and evening, and he is enjoying his life. So he told that I am happier now than what I was before. Before I used to quarrel with my wife. We should do one way or the other way. We should invest in this or we should invest in that. Where we should use our money. Who is a good person, who is a bad person. We were evaluating, we were judging the people. And I was having quarrel with my wife. I was not able to pay full attention to my kids. Now I am. I am living a better life. So, this example, it doesn't mean that we leave everything. It doesn't mean that if we are rich, then we are unhappy. It is when we are attached, we are unhappy. So, anamayam means suffering, kasto se rahit, devoid of suffering. So, even a ownership of great richness is also giving us the suffering. The example of this, the reason for the example was to understand that having so many things is also giving us the same suffering as having nothing. Both are in the same way. And that is why anamayam, when we can go padam gacchantanamayam, we can only get rid of that through the buddhi yukta. Even if we have something or we do not have something, both becomes a same result. Both gives us the same result. So, we have to understand what is the difference between the enjoyment and happiness, and this difference has to be understood. Now, how can we be anamayam? How can we be devoid of suffering? First, we have to understand that we connect ourselves with the objects, possession, what are the things with us. We have to understand that we are not the body. As in Sankhya, as it came before, that we are Atma, we are not the body. The things which we see around us is not which is owned by us. I am the Atma, I am the soul, and I am a traveler. That is what God explained in the earlier shloka. This is where it is coming to. Understanding oneself beyond the objects is the key. Understanding oneself, ourselves, beyond the objects, possession. In Hindi we can say, Swa ki pehchan, Khud ki pehchan, Atma Tattva ki pehchan. Seeing ourselves beyond body. Who am I? Okay, but this looks more like a hypothetical. This looks more like theoretical. Do we have any practical example of it? Of course, we have that. And we experience it every day. We go to the bed in the night after doing the whole day work, maybe hard work, which may have resulted into good or bad results, or good or bad returns. We have gone through the day. When we go to the bed, we go and we sleep. What happens? When we sleep, do we remember that I am having, say, $5 million house and this many cars and all this thing, and I am possessing all that, and I am happy, and then in the sleep also, do we remember that what I have? We don't. In the sleep, we don't remember what position I am. I am a carpenter, or I am a shoemaker, or I am a prime minister. We don't remember that. We do not remember how many things and how much do we possess. We do not remember whom we are related to, who are our relatives, who are our friends. We do not remember that what is good or bad actions will be, evaluation and judging the people. We don't do that in the sleep. We forget even about our body. Where is my hand and leg? We forget everything. And because we forget all that, we get a good sleep. A person who will not be able to forget it will not be able to get a good sleep. If I have got something pressing decision to be taken tomorrow, if I have got something to be decided or something very critical coming up tomorrow and I keep thinking about it, I will not be able to sleep. When I am unable to sleep, I will be very unhappy. It will be very difficult for me to get a sleep. And ask the people who do not get the sleep how much unhappy they are. If he cannot sleep for a couple of days, you have to rush to the doctor. Doctor, why I am unable to sleep? Sleep gives us a rest. Sleep refreshes us. Sleep calms us. Sleep gives us a time where we forget everything and we rejuvenate. That is what the sleep is. What is to be done is just to extrapolate that sleep part, the psychology of the sleep part into the regular time also. We sleep during that time. Sleep means what? We forget. Does it mean that we do not do the work? We do. Again, the same cashier. We do the duty, we do everything, but we remember in our mind, who am I? What is my duty? What I am born with? What I am supposed to be doing? If we remember that and we forget, or we keep unattached with what we own, what is my position, what is my possession, then in that case, we will be able to live as happily as we are living in the sleep. This is the method. It is not to leave the world. It is not to become a sadhu or a sannyasi. It is not to become a person who leaves all the clothes and lives in the forest. No. Why? Two reasons. Number one, even by doing that, even if I leave everything and go to the forest, if I am still attached with my business, with my money, even while sitting under a tree in the forest, my mind will be still attached to that, my position, my shop, my bungalow, my car, and I will not be peaceful. That is number one. And number two is that when when we think about living the world and living all these actions and all, it is not practical. Everybody in the world cannot do that. Everybody in the world cannot live the life. The world will not continue. 99% people have to work through the life. They have to go through the cycle of the life. The child, the youth, they get married, they get kids, they earn money. That is how the world is working. Even if the biggest sadhu, biggest sannyasi, anybody is there, they also need the support from the gruhasthi, the family man. That is why it will come in further in Gita here. The God is telling me that I am dhanya gruhasthas. I am telling that out of all the four ashrams, gruhastha ashram is the best. 25 to 50, married life with kids, with money, with possession, with wife and husband, family, that is the best. That is what God has told. So, leaving all this thing is one, not practical, and secondly, even by leaving, if you are still attached, it will not lead us to the happiness. It will not lead us to the Janma Bandha Vinirmukta. This is what it is. So in conscious state, we have to leave this. Now how can we leave that in conscious state? And there it comes with the meditation. What is meditation? Meditation in the morning, sit in front of the God. Whatever God we believe in. Whatever God we believe in. Doesn't matter. We believe in Ganesh, we believe in Mataji, we believe in Shankar Bhagwan, Hanumanji, anything, any God we believe in. Sit in front of that idol and do the meditation. Remember in your mind that, you know what, I am not what I possess, I am not what I am getting. I am the one who is Atma. Just remind ourselves it just once in the morning. Morning prayer. Yeah. We have got a prayer, Bhavanyashtakam. In the Bhavanyashtakam, we are talking to ourselves and we are telling who I am. Na tato, na mata, na bandhur, na data, na putro, na putri, na bhrutyo, na bharta. Na jaya, na vidya, na vrittir mamaiva, gatistam tvameka bhavani. Na tato, na mata, I am not the father, I am not the mother. Na bandhu, I am not the brother. I am not father, I am not mother, I am not brother. Na putro na putri, I am neither a son nor I am a daughter. Na brutyo na bharta, yeah. Na jaya na vidya, I am not even wife, or I am not even, the knowledge, or the education which I have got. I am untouched by it. And this prayer is getting us to an understanding. Slowly it comes out. Somebody will say, oh, what will happen by doing this prayer? So we always get an example. It's a very famous example. The example is, suppose there is a bucket full of dirty water. There is a bucket full of dirty water. And we are told to replace that water. One of the way is to empty it out, clean it up and fill it up. But life is not that simple. We just can't empty out everything which is with us. All our karma phal, all our punarjanma, all our previous births. We cannot leave that, we cannot escape it. So what's the method? Keep that bucket under a tap and little, just drop by drop, or a little line of pure water, let it fall into the bucket. What happens? Eventually, slowly, the more and more fresh water, more and more clean water will come in the bucket, and the old dirty water will eventually replaced. It may take longer time, doesn't matter, but we will start the process. Important is to start the process. And this process comes through the meditation, and in meditation we have to do some kind of a prayer. One of the prayer is Bhavanastakam, that is, or even in Gita, we can recite Gita, we have to understand, remember ourselves. This shloka we can recite the second chapter, and we can understand ourselves. Self-realization is nothing but this. Realizing oneself is simple. It is not very complicated. Realizing oneself doesn't need lots of brain. It doesn't need, otherwise what will happen, that people will think that if I am poor, I am not that intellectually strong, I am not that much having that brain, will I be able to achieve the moksha? Yes, we can. Because the funny part, I always laugh at it, is not to get something, but to lose something. To lose something is easy. To earn something, to get something is hard. Here we are telling, you lose the attachment with the objects, and you can get the moksha, you can get the liberation. That is what this shloka is telling us. So we will go further on the next shloka, 52nd shloka of the second chapter. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishya tada gantasi nirvedam srutavyasya srutasya cha. Yes, 52nd. Yada te moha kalilam, yada when, te you, moha kalilam, when, kalilam means quagmire, kalilam means marshy land, swamp, quagmire, as maybe I am pronouncing it correctly, the mud, the land with the mud. Yada te moha kalilam. God is telling the moha is equal to the mud. When your intellect crosses the quagmire of delusion, moha, delusion. When your intellect crosses, remember, we can cross only when our intellect crosses. This is very important word, and we will go into it detail. When our intellect crosses, you will then acquire the indifference to what has been heard and what is yet to be heard. This is the meaning of it. You will acquire indifference. So what will happen? Buddhir vyati tarishyati. You will swim through. You will go across. You will pass it. Tada gantasi nirvedam. Nirvedam means indifference. Then we will be acquiring the indifference. About indifference to what? Srotavya. Whatever we have got or whatever we have heard of, and even in future what we are going to get, both we are going to get indifference with. So number one part here, I can translate it in Hindi for some people if it is interested. जिस समय तेरी बुद्धि मोह रूपी दलदल को तर जाएगी, उसी समय तू सुने हुए और सुनने में आने वाले भोगों से वैराग्य को प्राप्त हो जाएगा. This is the meaning. So God is telling here moha. Moha means mud. He is comparing this with the mud, with the swamp. Why? Why it is called as a mud? Why the moha? Why the delusion is considered as a mud? What are the qualities of a mud? When we touch into it, it adheres to us. It sticks us. And its smell, all the dirtiness in it comes and touches our skin, and we start also smelling in the same way. If somebody has fallen in the mud and comes out, they start smelling. Even though the mud is clean, still there is a smell in the body, and they have to wash a couple of times or more to just get rid of it. So number one is that when we come in contact with something as an object, when we develop moha, it sticks to us. It sticks to us. Let us take example. What is sticking? Sticking means what? Is it physical sticking? Let us take a simple example. We go to a restaurant and we eat some food. Say we taste some samosas. And they are excellent. They are very tasty. They are very good, freshly fried, freshly made samosas. And we eat that samosa and we are very happy. We say that the samosas are very good and we liked it. Then after maybe 15 days again, we go to another restaurant and we order samosas. We order samosas again. When we order samosas, we get the samosas. Now this samosa has a different taste than the previous one. It may be fresh, it may be freshly made, it may be fried fresh, but it has a different taste. When it is a different taste, we say that this samosa is good, but it is not equal to the samosas which we eat 15 days ago in some other restaurant. We say that. We say that these samosas are not that good compared to the previous samosas in previous restaurant. What does it mean? The taste of the previous samosas are sticking to us in our mind. It is still there. We have already eaten it and we have even, digested it all through. But that samosa is still sticking in my mind. So moha sticks in our mind. Even though we are connected or disconnected with the object, the moha remains. The moha doesn't go away because it is connected to the mind and it is not necessarily as a physical object. It may be the moha has not been contact at all. We look at somebody's car, a brand new car, and we develop moha. Oh, I wish I have a similar car for the future happiness. And this is what is in Srota Vyasya when we come to that. So first it is called as a mud because it adheres to us in our mind. Secondly, when we enter into a marshy land, if we do not be careful, we may slide into it and we may die. We will just sink into it. So the people who cannot think properly, who cannot understand themselves, who cannot think about who I am, will go into it, garta, that is called as a garta. They go more and more, gati, artha inside. They go towards more inside it and they eventually sink into it, in the swamp. Very similar to swamp. It takes the person more and more down inside it, and that is why God has explained it as a kalilam. That's the second part. And third is, the more we try to get away, if we do not think intellectually and we struggle, I want to leave, I want to leave, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I just want to leave. What happens? We are still going inside that mud. We are still sinking inside it. So that means that by just merely leaving the object or hating the objects or throwing away, shrugging off all those objects and resources which are around us, it will still stick us more and we will still get more into it. We cannot shrug off or leave that mud just by merely struggling and moving our hands and legs. Because if we do it, we'll be still going more inside it. That is why God told it, Kalilam, another reason. But if there is no liking, there is no choice process and no direction for the action. So if somebody says that I do not have any moha, somebody thinks that they are not having moha is a good thing. See, in Sanskrit it is told moha is a kalilam. The delusion is equal to mud. So I will not keep any moha. I will have no choices. I will have no preferences because I don't have the moha. Will it work? It will not work. It cannot work. Why it cannot work? Because to have the actions in a proper direction, we need to know the end result. Again, the same example of the ice cream. If I know that I want to eat a strawberry flavored ice cream, then I will go to that shop which is selling it. And because I remember the taste of strawberry ice cream in that shop which I liked, I will be going to that shop and I will be eating the ice cream. Imagine that a person has got a problem with his tongue and he cannot taste anything. Absolutely. Zero taste. Will he be able to decide whether I should eat a strawberry ice cream or a vanilla ice cream? He will not. He will not, because everything is same. He will not be able to decide. For a common man, for general people, the end result, there should be a desirable outcome. Then only the action can be decided. So we cannot say that throwing away the moha will work. And this example was to explain that moha cannot be thrown away. We cannot be a person who is insensitive. People, we always have a misunderstanding that moha, leaving the moha means detaching and becoming insensitive. Not having moha doesn't mean that we become insensitive. Not having moha doesn't mean that we are not emotional. Not having moha doesn't mean that we have no choices in our life. This is a misunderstanding being developed, that leaving a moha, that means loving my wife, loving my kids is a moha. How can a love become moha? When a mother loves the child, then only she will take care of the children. A mother will take care of and nurture the child only when she loves her, loves the kid. And in the same way, when we love our family, we take care of them. So what's the difference between a love and a moha? In both cases, we are connected and attached. We have to understand that part, the moha part. So mind gets the moha, something we get entangled into and still like it to be in it. This is moha. We get entangled into something and we like to be inside it always and more. That is moha. We are connected to it. We are sticking to it. We cannot stay without. We need it more than we need. These are all the points, the characteristic of a moha. We need it more, we need it always, we need it more faster, and we want to be inside it all the time. We go to the doctor, and doctor for the smoking. Suppose somebody is a smoker, he or she wants to leave the smoking. So you go to the doctor and you go to the doctor and say, doctor, I am having a smoking, I am having addiction, moha for smoking, I want to leave it. Doctor will ask, how many cigarettes do you smoke in a day? If the person says that I smoke 1 cigarette in a day, doctor will say, you are not addicted. One is okay. I mean, it's not good to smoke. And even here, I am not promoting smoking. But one of that cigarette in a day is okay. It's not addiction. When you are smoking 20, 30, 40 cigarettes in a day, then you are addicted. So moha is 40 cigarettes a day. Love is 1 cigarette a day. Of course, this example doesn't match correctly, but what it is trying to explain is that moha is when you need more than what you need, you want it always, and you want it continuously. So we have to understand the difference between moha. Also, the moha is not in the object, but in the mind of the subject. This is where again I will take the example of cigarette guy. But I think we are already 11 o'clock now, so it is time, and we will continue with this 50-second shloka in the next week again when we meet on Saturday. 10 to 11 at Jai Durga temple. I got one small announcement. I understood that many people have questions and they find that this may be a little deeper than what is what is as commonly understood. So I request everyone who are listening to this and feel free to ask questions. Put your questions in the temple site or wherever you find this video, and put the questions, and I will try to see that I attend them in the upcoming lectures. So feel free and connect. Till then, I wish everyone a great weekend, and we will meet again 10 o'clock next Saturday. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha.